get started with Sean McCann with They Mostly Come at Night, Nocturnal, Marauding, and Enoplognatha, Ovata. Take it away, Sean.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And I'm glad to be speaking here today at my second online arachnology conference. Anyway, I'd like you all just to sit back and relax and enjoy some pretty cool photos and hear about some really intriguing field collected data we have on the species. My co-author is Catherine Scott, who is present in the audience. And if I mess up, she's going to kill me. All right, so Enoplognatha ovata, if you don't know, is a spider in the Therodiidae, comes in 3 different flavors, basically color morphs, of which this lineata form on the right is the most common, but I've heard that the most flavorful and delicious is the most rare one, the ovata form. That's just a joke. So they're native to the Palearctic region, Europe and Asia, but they've become established in North America and have been found down into South America and things like that. So this is my hypothesis for how they got there. I don't know if it bears any semblance to reality, but in any case, we have these spiders abundantly in North America at the present time. So in 1931, Bristow said that this was a very common spider whose habits have never attracted anyone's serious attention. And to this day, I don't think that has changed very much. Well, a lot of studies have been done on their color morphology and genetics. No one's really looked at their behavior very much. So Bristow described a few types of predation behavior that they engage in, like this typical Therodiid ambush predation, where they're present on these umbelliferous flowers. They have a capture web beneath, and when insects come to visit the flowers, the spider comes out and attacks them. Kleptoparasitism, where she invades neighboring webs and basically takes the prey of the unfortunate spider nearby. And araneophagy, which Bristow thought arose as a natural extension of kleptoparasitism, where the Enoplognatha enters the other web and ends up killing the host. So this study was done kind of as a side project while we were looking at Western black widows. We went out at night quite a bit, and during the time that the Western black widows were brooding egg sacs and not very active, we ended up seeing some pretty cool stuff. So we were working on Vancouver Island in the west coast of British Columbia. That's what it looks like. And we're down on the Saanich Peninsula about midway up at a place called Island View Beach. Now, the Sayut people who are inhabit this area call this whole region from Cordova Spit in the north to the beach in the south, Tiquan. And they very kindly gave us permission to do our research on their lands, which were beautiful. Now, in the course of doing this research in such a beautiful location, as a photographer, I took the opportunity to go out many days in the early morning or at sunset to photograph sleeping aggregations of bees and wasps. And here's some of the pictures that I took of some of the characters that you'll see later in this presentation. So it's a great, fun thing to do. I highly recommend it. Very relaxing. So they basically perch on these bits of dead vegetation at night, sometimes in aggregations, and they're very beautiful. But maybe I should have been listening to the wasps a little more closely, and then I would have been prepared for what happens.
We better get back, because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
Ominous. So this is what we saw. I just put in some sound effects for your enjoyment. So basically this massive killing on the part of Enoplognatha ovata of my favorite photographic subjects. So in 2016, we discovered the extent of this carnage and we did some haphazard collecting of prey. And in 2017, we took this further and we did extensive sampling of Enoplognatha prey along a stretch of beach. And I also engineered some predation events for demonstration. So this is an example of some of our prey capture collections. You can see we basically just took the prey out of the web and plopped it in a vial and then did our best to mount these husks of dead insects and identify them to whatever level we could get them to. And as you can see from this rough breakdown, the vast majority of the prey taken were Hymenoptera and scattered other types of prey were taken. And we'll come back to this in a bit. But we did see web-based hunting, ambush predation under these umbelliferous flowers. And basically it looked like this. Insect arrives to nectar or collect pollen, and the Enoplognatha comes out, throws sticky silk on it, and preys on it. And here's a result, some of the results of ambush predation at flowers. We also saw kleptoparasitism, like this first picture, but I'll call your attention to another observation we made. So if you don't recognize this, this is the carcass of an Anthrodeitis pacificus, a nice megalomorph spider, and it's been killed by a black widow. In fact, in the season when male Anthrodeitis are walking around the beach, they're a favored prey item and are captured quite often by widows. They're quite a bulky spider and a good prey item for a hungry widow spider. So in this picture, you can see an Enoplognatha that has basically been alerted to the commotion of the capture of an Anthrodeitis and is coming to try to take that prey from the widow. And in fact, was throwing sticky silk all over the widow as well. It did not manage to steal this prey item though. So Araneophagy, when the widow's young emerge from the egg sac, they're out on the capture web of the mother and dispersing from that point. And in some cases, Enoplognatha had their capture webs adjoining the capture web of the widow spider. And this is what we saw. Basically, Araneophagy on the young widow spiders. Here's another type of Araneophagy. This appears to be sexual cannibalism, where a male Enoplognatha has fallen victim to a female. And in this case, a couple long-jawed orb weavers were trying to get it on and suffered a terrible fate. This was really hard to watch, this one. But we also saw this other tactic, which we're calling marauding, and this only occurred at night. And basically, the Enoplognatha females, primarily subadults and adults, would be leaving their web and navigating on silk lines to adjoining vegetation and killing whatever they found on that vegetation. So I'm going to show you a non-engineered predation event first, and then an engineered one. So this is, we saw this, multiple times in a night, and only several times was I ready with a video camera and a light. But this gives you an idea of what it looks like. And here's an engineered predation event on a Coelioxys. Basically, as soon as the Enoplognatha detects that there's a sleeping insect there, it immediately goes into prey capture mode. And the sticky silk evidently is very effective in immobilizing these large and robust prey.
10 minutes.
Okie doke. It doesn't always work. If you want to see a replay of that, sometimes the Enoplognatha does not succeed. So yes, mostly Hymenoptera being taken, and we can break this down a little more into the different families of Hymenopterans being taken. And nighttime marauding seems to be common for the megachilids and the sphecids, and basically due to the vegetation, we found these prey on these bare, dead perches where they like to spend the night. But these other types of hymenopterans being taken, we attribute to daytime ambush at active flowers. And we can't really determine what the ichneumonids and braconids were taken as. It could be either day or night predation. So in summary, we witnessed ambush predation, much like Bristow did. And we also saw kleptoparasitism and araneophagy. And we also are documenting this behavior that we're calling marauding, basically where a spider that was thought to just be an ambush predator at its home web is leaving its home web in search of prey outside. What are the implications? Well, these spiders can be exceptionally abundant. And in fact, in our field study, we found that they were extremely abundant. Up to 90% or more of all spider individuals collected could be Enoplognatha ovata. So a more detailed study on the population effects of this type of predation is upcoming, and you can no doubt bet that we'll also be looking at the behavioral aspects as well. So the main take-home messages, they're polyphagous predators and they take a lot of Hymenoptera. They can basically kill a lot of stuff. They have high local abundance and they could have large impacts on certain arthropod communities. And in coastal sand dunes, which are an imperiled ecosystem, it might have conservation implications. Catherine will be undertaking further study of their predation effects on pollinators for a postdoctoral study. And that's all I have to say. So thank you, and I'll take any questions if I have time.
Great. Thank you for the wonderful story, images, and sounds. We have mostly kudos for the great story you told and the images. Neville Park wants to know about the plants that you photographed the specimens on. He wants to know if they're yarrow and Queen Anne's lace mostly.
Primarily yarrow, but also yarrow was where their capture webs were located mostly, but also Puget Sound gumweed. Now the gumweeds are a flower that's found in kind of arid habitats, and these kind of beach habitats have a species of gumweed associated.
Maddie Hannibal wants to know, how far did you observe them travel outside their web to prey?
We didn't do any strict measurements because it would have involved a lot of backtracking the silk trails, but up to 3-4 meters sometimes.
And I think the last question we'll have time for here is Annie Simpson wants to know, or she says that she's read that Enoplognatha ovata is native to the U.S.
Yeah, well, that's unclear. I mean, everything I've read has indicated that it's introduced, and there's also Enoplognatha latamana, which I really don't believe is a good species, but whatever. I didn't mention any of the taxonomic difficulty, but yeah, it could very well be a whole Arctic species. I'm not clear on that.
Okay. All right, thank you, Sean. Let's go to Jiho Kim's question about what percentage of prey items were Hymenoptera? And I know you said it was the majority, but he's curious.
58%, I think I quoted. So yeah, I mean, most of the biggest and bulkiest items were Hymenopterans as well. So we think this is kind of an effort by these subadult females and adult females to get a big burst of nutrition for incubating what is usually only a single egg sac per female per season. Although that can vary. I've sometimes seen multiple sacs per female, but it's kind of a last ditch grab at resources before they engage in reproduction.
All right. All right. Well, let's. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.